Okay, welcome once again to another session of the 11th Annual Transforming the Teaching and Learning Environment Virtual Conference presented by Northeastern State University. Our session today is one of 60-hour-long sessions we have through Friday, February 14th. As you may have guessed, I'm Bob Ailes. I'm your moderator for the session. Remember that all of our sessions are closed captioned. To view the captions, simply click on the closed caption icon on the toolbar at the bottom of the screen. Today's session is maybe video killed the radio star, but it saved the online instructor. And we have with us John Johnson, who's the Director of E-Learning and Instructional Technology at Red Rocks Community College. We have Mike Koss, who is Dean of Instruction at Red Rocks Community College. And then Amy Braziller is a member of the English faculty, also at Red Rocks. So I want to welcome all of you three, and I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Well, thanks for, I was going to say thanks for coming. I don't know how you say that on a video conference, but thanks for being wherever you are and tuning us in. Go ahead, John.
And I was just going to make sure that everybody can see our screen. You should be seeing a fun, maybe video killed the radio star, but it saved the online instructor. Everybody good with our screen before we move on?
Yeah, looks good.
Excellent.
Okay, good.
Well, what we really wanted to start out with is actually showing some videos, some video introductions, and we often use these in our online courses. So we thought we actually do a quick video introduction from each of us. So we're going to start out with Amy Braziller, and this is one of hers. We do know that with video on a presentation like this, it's a little choppy, so bear with us, but you should hear the audio just fine.
Hi, my name's Amy Braziller, and I teach here at Red Rocks Community College. I'm sitting in my office on campus. You can't really see anything except me and the wall, but trust me, I do. I teach English, those writing courses, literature courses. I have teaching assistants, right? They're everything a good English teacher needs. That. I also teach humanities courses, and I am co-author of the textbook, The Bedford Book of Genres. Anyway, I look forward to hanging out with you for the next 45 minutes or so.
That's Amy. Let's go ahead and introduce Mike Koss.
Hi. Oops, is it on?
Can we start over again?
No, you know what, we're not going to start over again because that's the whole point of this, right? To humanize yourself. I'm Mike Koss. I'm a Dean of Instruction near Denver, Colorado, and I wanted to welcome you to this presentation. I've been teaching online since the 90s. I think the first online course I taught was on America Online, where you just emailed things in and emailed things back, and of course the technology's changed a lot. So I hope you enjoy our presentation on how to humanize your online course.
All right, so moving on, let's go ahead and introduce John Johnson.
Hi, my name is John Johnson. I'm the Director of Instructional Technology at Red Rocks Community College in Lakewood, Colorado. I'm also an online instructor and Quality Matters peer reviewer. One of my favorite things to do in my online class is to build community using video. One easy way to do it are just quick videos like this. Well, I look forward to our presentation. We're starting here right about now.
Okay, so here are the what we want to present today. We want to talk about practical ways to connect with your students using video. Give examples that we've used in our online classes to personalize our classes for our students. We'll talk about research strategies that support video usage, talk about how videos can connect us with our students, and discuss strategies or discover strategies for using video. Hopefully you will discover strategies for using video in your own classroom to build those connections that we need to build in our online classes.
Well, what we'd really like to talk about is a little bit of research related to video. And this is really when I'm working with faculty at Red Rocks Community College, I like to talk about some of the research that is why you should use video. And so within here, let's talk about a few things. And of course, Clark and Mayer, one of my, they're really great with instructional mediums and talking about how we learn. But let's actually take a quick look at some of the research that we have available. Within here, I always like to begin with my faculty and instructor. We're talking about online, what is an engaged learner and how do you create an engaged learner in an online course? And really the most important thing that I always mention to those faculty instructors is how do you build community? Because when you develop a sense of community, students become engaged, they're more active in the class. That's linked to retention and ABC completion rates. And so really within here, what we have a few things are in here is what factors lead to an engaged learner. And let me get this all on one screen for you. So we have quite a few things that lead to an engaged learner. So student enrolls in the class, class interactivity. So that includes student to student, student to instructor, and then also the interaction with content. When that student interacts with the class, they develop a sense of a community. That encourages them to become an engaged learner, and that filters back into this sense of community again. Within here, there's a lot of different things that are student factors, that are course factors, that are instructor factors. What I often discuss with our faculty and instructors is that, you could have the best course design in the world, but if you're not engaged in that online class to an extent, your students will not be engaged with you or the course. And that includes discussions and that sense of belonging. Really what we're going to narrow this down to is how you can create a sense of community and belonging in your online course using video. And we're going to have some practical examples of that. So moving it down just a little bit further, this is really, let me make sure you can get the citation here, and I'll pop this link in the chat for you so you have access to this document. But an engaged learner, we have active learning opportunities, we have a cooperative and collaborative classroom, but what we really narrow down to is a strong instructor presence in your class, which is critical to that development of community. And the most important thing, or one of the most important things you can do, is have presence in your online class. And how can you do that? Well, I always like to recommend video, short, quick videos in your class of yourself, personalizing it. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. One of my favorite options in here is the personalization principle. And really when I say that's an option is that oftentimes I get instructors coming to me and they want to create a very formalized video. It has to be very polished. Really the personalization principle is that when you have an informal or your language is informal, your conversational style, it actually encourages students to build a sense of social partnership, actually more engagement in your online class. You don't have to have those polished videos. You don't have to make it very, very formal. Having informal videos actually develop that sense of partnership and community in your online class. And you're going to see some really great examples of that here as we get into our presentation. I'm going to skip a little bit through this. You can look at this on your own. There's a lot of different information related to cognitive load theory. One thing to remember is that I do recommend, again, to my faculty that I work with, is don't put a lot of bling into your videos. This goes directly back to the cognitive load theory, in that if you have a lot of information, you have a lot of music, you have flashy stuff on your videos, you're actually going to decrease the retention of that material for your students because there's just too much information on that video. So it's something to consider, is that short and sweet, it's much, much better. And really that goes back into this research study about keeping it short. So oftentimes I get a question about how long should my video be? Well, really when you're taking a look at student engagement with streaming videos, this was done with a MOOC, millions and millions of views of videos. Here's what we get. So student engagement with streaming videos, you'll notice that 0 to 3 minutes, we have almost 100%. Even 3 to 6 minutes, we have 100%. But when we start getting to 6 to 9 minutes of that video length, it starts to drop off. Anything after 9 minutes, you'll notice it goes down to half. 12 to 40 minutes, the students are watching it at around 20%. So something to consider, your sweet spot for videos is anywhere between 3 to 6 minutes in length. And I'd actually argue that you want to keep it around 3 minutes. And you've probably heard that quite a bit through others. Let me go ahead and drop this link into the chat to make sure you have that. So you can look at this on your own. Let me make sure this goes out to everyone. So that is our little bit of research for you. I've dropped that into the chat and you have that now on your own. One of the things I did want to mention is that you may be thinking, you know, I'm not ready to create my own videos. I don't necessarily want to do that just yet. Well, an easy way to integrate video into your classroom is the completely free videos that are out there. There are a number of websites, resources that have video databases that you can incorporate into your class. And we just wanted to give you a few options in here. But again, I'm going to drop this link. I don't want to go down the road with discussing all of these because we don't really need to. But what I do want is to provide you with the link so you can explore this on your own. And so I'm going to just drop that into the chat as well so you have access to that. Let me make sure I get that right one in there. Grab that one more time to make sure that you have this. And there we go. Got that broken link in there.
I'm just sitting here amazed that John's able to talk and drop links into the chat so well. I wish I could do something like that. Anyway, in terms of student feedback, here's a couple of samples that we got. One said they found the videos to be helpful and it made them feel like they were taught by a human being rather than a robot. Another said that it helped them feel connected to the class. And a lot of us have gotten comments about they wish more of their instructors would use these videos. And so the feedback's been positive. I have to also say that at an anecdotal level, I find students are much more likely to contact me if they have issues so that I can help them succeed in the course, where in many cases they would have maybe just ignored those issues and ended up either not doing well or dropping out of the course. And so it does help set up a better communication with the students as well.
Well, let's actually get into some examples of what we do with our online courses and how we do that. How do we develop that sense of community or that sense of belonging? So here are some strategies for you to think about when you want to integrate videos into your online courses or even your hybrid courses. So the first one we want to explore is be the expert. So oftentimes, what I do for my online class is many of you heard of like just-in-time teaching. I'll actually create a quick video if my students are struggling or I'm getting a large number of questions on a specific topic. I'll create a quick video explaining that. It's really helpful for explaining confusing instructional concepts. That's one of the great things about online is that, you know, it's a wonderful format, it's very flexible, but if you have as a student a lot of questions or something's confusing, when your instructor provides those videos of that really difficult material, it's an excellent medium for providing that instructional material, especially with confusing concepts. And also really to discuss complex concepts as well. And so let's actually show a couple examples of that. So here is one from Mike Cost. I'm going to let him cue this up for you.
Yeah, so this is actually part of a weekly check-in. I know it looks like I'm sick, but trust me, the video gets better, or it can't get any worse. But one of the courses I teach is American government. And when you talk about federalism, there's layer cake and marble cake federalism. And so I thought I would bring some props in to help to introduce those concepts to the students. And also I threw in a few touches, some on purpose, some by accident, to, again, make myself seem more personable.
Hi, it's me again. I hope you've enjoyed this week's material. Of course, we talked about we don't talk in this class, do we? I talk and we read. Anyway, we went over the Constitution, and I hope you spend a lot of time reading the actual Constitution because it's important, and we will be referring back to parts of the Constitution as the semester goes on. The first thing I want to talk about is the weather. And you're saying, why the weather? You know, it's cold outside, but this is online class, so fortunately you don't have to miss any class time if you can't get to school or if class is canceled or something like that. And yes, that's an advantage of online courses, but I don't want to talk about the weather here. I want to talk about the weather in Iowa. Because Iowa right now, it's cold, it's Iowa. But there's the possibility a blizzard's going to come through. Now, right now, it's going to come through Monday night after the caucuses, and so it may not have much effect. But if it comes in early, it could really affect the results of the Iowa caucuses, because the people who are going to turn out are more likely to be the people who are more enthusiastic about their candidates. So, you know, and it'll be interesting to see what happens there, because what we don't measure in polls is how intensely people like their candidates. Some are like, yeah, I like this person, and other people will die to see that person elected. And, you know, intuitively, we might have some ideas, but I saw an interesting poll recently, actually not a poll, but a pollster who was talking about the fact that Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton have equal intensities of preferences. Sorry, I've got a little munchkin here. This is Loki, by the way. You'll see him more, but he's skulking by for reasons that you'll see in just a minute. Anyway, so the weather can actually affect the turnout, and by affecting the turnout, it can affect who wins. You know, Donald Trump, for example, is hoping for a huge turnout because he's got a lot of people who've never participated in caucuses supporting him. Bernie Sanders has a lot of younger people, and he's hoping for a larger turnout as well because it's the younger people who tend to turn out in larger turnout elections. Okay, sorry, I keep looking at my dog. Anyway, so that's just an interesting little twist. It's now we have the polls, but who actually comes out to support their candidates? And so again, remember, this is a game of finishing better or worse than expected. So if, for example, Ted Cruz beats Donald Trump, that's going to be a big deal. Also, look for who comes in third in the Republicans, because a lot of people are looking for an alternative to Cruz and Trump. It looks like it may be Rubio, but then can Rubio do well in New Hampshire? Trump's got a huge lead there. Chris Christie, John Kasich are also looking strong in New Hampshire, and so things could get really interesting. But right now, Monday, the big deal is Iowa. Now, I want to talk about something else. So we're talking about federalism, and there are actually two different types of federalism. And the first type, I got my visual aids, is what's called layer cake federalism. And this is the idea where, if you look at the top here, this would be the federal government, and down here is the state governments. And the icing represents a separation between the two. So federal powers, hypothetically, would be distinct from state powers. And in many cases, that's how things have been for a long, long, long time. And I have to say, this is a great model of federalism. But more recently, in the 20th century, you started to see where federal and state powers intermingled a little bit more. For example, when you talk about education, a lot of education is regulated at the state level, but the federal government gives grants that are based on fulfilling certain requirements. And so the states don't necessarily have to follow them, but they have to follow them if they want the grants. That's true for healthcare, it's true for highways, and some of the reasons we'll see as we go along, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's important economically for the federal government to regulate things so they're consistent between states. Civil rights had a big part of this because some states were resisting the 14th Amendment based on states' rights. And so there's been more intermingling of federal and state power. And so this leads to another type of federalism, which is called marble cake federalism. Now, I think some of you are going to notice that this is not really marble cake, but it's close enough. And you can see where the federal and state governments, although distinct, still intermingle with each other. And so sometimes it's hard to see where one ends and one begins. But, you know, this too is a very important form of federalism. Oh, quite tasty. So anyway, when you read about federalism, keep these two metaphors in mind and realize that now.
So anyway, that was the way I did two things there. I brought current events in. I brought my dogs in. Well, more things, right? I brought my dog in to personalize it. Helped set up the distinction between layer cake and marble cake federalism that's covered in that chapter. And also you see a slight error there. I didn't expect my feet to be in there and I didn't have shoes on. But anyway, those are ways I made that. I hope you can see how I made that more accessible to the students and made myself seem more like a person.
And what I really like about that video is we're talking about confusing instructional concepts or really complex concepts, and those props, the personalization, that's something that really makes that unique and personal to students to understand instructional material.
Okay, so the next method we're talking about is what we call show and tell, which is just a way of providing quick demonstrations of different concepts. So you can record micro lessons or short lessons. You can also use in a flipped classroom. You can demonstrate a process or just a face-to-face lecture that you can share with your online students. And so, John, this is you, I believe.
Yep. So this is a case where I created a quick micro lesson, and my students, I teach Joomla and WordPress online, and I was getting a lot of questions regarding PHP. And so I'm not going to show too much of this, but this was for homework help that I created a quick video for them.
All right, this is a quick tutorial on how to modify your WordPress CSS within the theme. A few of you have had questions, so I thought I'd do a quick video to help you out with that homework. So really the first thing you're going to need to do is log into your dashboard as an administrator, and then we're going to navigate to Appearance, and then of course Customize. And then from here, I have my additional CSS. So in here already, there's a little tip on how to complete your homework on this screen.
And so I didn't really want to show, I wanted to show just a quick little snippet of that. But my intention is in my online class, I was getting a lot of questions, specifically how to do this. The students were lost. So I created a quick video to show them and to guide them with that difficult instructional concept. And that was the goal of that video. So let's keep on moving on. And I believe Mike has a great video here as well to show another complex process.
Well, I don't know about great. It actually came from a failure because I was trying to show students using, resources, using computer resources, how to do a mind map. And they weren't getting it in that particular lesson. So this was in the middle of the week. And so what I did is instead of doing that, I just wrote out a mind map, which actually helped them because they could do the same thing and just take a picture of it and upload it for this particular assignment. This was for a logic class. So, maybe just a couple minutes in the middle.
Okay, where do you want to start it at? Let's hit that start button, and where should we jump to?
About a minute, maybe. the first part is me apologizing for not being good at
the video and it disappeared. So this is the second video, so I'm going to show you what I did in the first video briefly, but I wanted to introduce you to someone first, and this is Loki. This is one of my dogs. You can see he's very hyper, and it's hard to capture him on film because he's running around all the time, but I thought you'd like to see him. And so that's Loki, and now let's look at my maps. And so this is a sheet, and basically what I did is I started writing down the things that I value, or the activities that I value the most. So of course, there's Marianne, my wife, the dogs, my parents, my friends, teaching, which I love to do, and
I said, what I like about this video is it's not really polished, it's personalization. And it's also very easy to do. I mean, there's not a lot of complex setup and special video recorders. This is something that anybody can easily do to set up videos for complex instructional content.
As you can see, I use my dog a lot, and it really helps to have a cute dog.
Well, let's talk about Be the Guide. And many of you, I suspect, are already doing something like this in your online or your hybrid course. Really, one of the great benefits of using video, and this goes back to my Quality Matters experience, is that you should actually orientate your students towards the class. Help them understand where items are located, how to complete discussions, upload assignments. You should give them a tour of your LMS, either as text, but I actually prefer video because it's super easy to do with technology these days. We use a couple different technologies here at Red Rocks Community College. We use Camtasia. We also use something called Yuja, which I'm going to show you here pretty soon. But there's a lot of different tools that you can use to create these video recordings. And many of you might be thinking to yourself, I use Screencast-O-Matic, which you can get a license for around 15 bucks a year, creates great videos and uploads directly to YouTube. But we use it here at Red Rocks in a couple different ways. We already talked about touring the LMS. You can also use it to explain assignments within your assignment Dropbox. But you can also use it as providing for video feedback. And that's a different way. And maybe some of you are doing it right now. But rather than writing out handwritten notes, you could actually record your screen, talk to your student, handwrite notes out there as well, so they can actually see where you're marking up that. But let's give a quick example of a tour that Amy Braziller did here at Red Rocks Community College. And we won't show too much of it, but just get a sense of how she's engaging with those students.
Hi, welcome back to the class. Anyway, I just want to show you around the class. Hopefully this is adequately recording my screen. What you'll see when you log into the course, on the left-hand side, you see first this module, course information, start here. I'd like you to go into here if you haven't already. Look over the syllabus. It lays out for you, beside course policies and a lot of boilerplate that the school requires. It also shows you things about your grade. The course schedule lays out a weekly schedule for you of readings, discussions, and major assignments. And then you can go through this and see some other files. This is helpful to look at being successful in an online course. And also please look at the discussion guidelines, since a fair amount of the course is online discussion. There's also a module of help and resources for you with some D2L tutorials, links to the CommLab, the Online Writing Center, accessibility services. I have some writing and research resources for you for the.
Well, and you get the idea about a course can be very complex and hard for a student to understand how to navigate that, especially if they haven't taken an online course before. You can quickly convey very complex information with video. And that's what I really like about these video course tours. And actually, Amy Braziller is here now. And so I'm going to have her talk a little bit more about why she does this.
Hey, everyone.
So beside the course tour, I also like to give students a clear visual of other things in the course. And one of the things I've started to do is to explain my assignments. And I do very detailed assignment sheets. And I always thought, okay, that's enough. They can read through it. And I've come to learn that may not be the case. So similar to the course tour, I will actually do a video screen tour of an assignment, and I'll highlight different things in the assignment. And then sometimes what I'll do is I might be referencing a part of the assignment, and I'll bring up a sample assignment and show the students where someone hit that mark in the sample assignment. So I think using video screen capture of things that you're asking students to do in the course is also very useful.
And we actually have an example of that.
Hey everyone, welcome to week 12. As I promised you last week, I would go over in depth your next project for this week. And I apologize, I seem to be having, I hope, allergies and not a cold. So if I sound stuffy, that's what's happening in my world. So anyway, the Trickster project is due 2 weeks from Sunday. So I'm recording this on Sunday. I'm not sure when you'll be listening to this. So on April 28th. So that gives you some time. Hopefully you've started to think about it. Like the first assignment, this assignment has 2 parts, the composition and an accompanying analytical write-up. So I gave you 3 choices.
Well, I think that gives you a sense of how Amy's using video to, again, explain very complex information. And I love this as a medium. Let's move on a little bit more. And I guess this is probably one of my favorite ways to use video within an online course. And I'm going to let Amy set this one up for you.
So if you're someone who's a perfectionist, you're going to kind of have to get over yourself. Because for me, at least, showing my personality means not scripting things. I find that in the classroom, I can connect with students because they can see I'm a human being. So in teaching online, when I started using video, I was thinking, how do I connect? How do I let students see that I'm just a person? So I don't get dressed up to do these. True confession, sort of like Rachel Maddow on TV has her jeans on underneath and a nice shirt on top. I'll have my pajama bottoms on underneath and maybe even my pajama top on with a sweatshirt thrown over it. And I'll just record sometimes sitting on my couch. I found one time when I used to record like my announcements, hey, how you doing? This is what we're doing for the week. And I used to rewatch them. And I found I tortured myself that way because one time I saw like, oh, I'm scratching my cheek a lot. Maybe I should re-record. And perhaps it was the laziness in me. I thought, nah, I'm not gonna re-record. They can just make funny comments about how their teacher scratches her cheek when she records. So I really like to just them to see that, hey, I'm a human being. Hey, about the 12th week in the semester, I look as tired as they feel. And we have some samples we're going to show, I believe, with all of us, right? That show different ways that our personality shows. I got on wearing a sweatshirt.
You are.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 2. Happy Sunday. Maybe you're preparing for the Super Bowl. Maybe you're watching this on Monday and you're rejoicing because your team won, or rejoicing because you got a lot done while everyone was watching the Super Bowl. I confess, I am not a Super Bowl fan and I won't be watching. First off, I want to say it was really great to begin to get to know you a little bit through your intros, right? We have fathers in the class, some high school students, outdoor enthusiasts, a car racer, several people who are interested in nursing careers. I also really appreciate those of you who posted your photo. Not that I don't appreciate all of you, but it would be great if you can put up a photo so we can, get a human element, hence why I continue to be awkward and record these videos for you. I just wanted to give a little preview.
Well, let's move on and take a look at another example. Again, really just showing personalization in your online course. This is an example of what I like to do is incorporate humor into my online course. And I often get other faculty here at Red Rocks Community College and use them as props in my videos. And so here I'm doing like a weekly overview of instructional materials, what they're going to learn about. And then I have somebody in the background just doing funny things. And honestly, when I do these videos.
All right, I just wanted to do a quick video for everyone and welcome you to week 2. Don't forget, tonight you have to post your discussion, your initial post, and we're going to be talking about the usability study by the
And so that was one of our well-known math faculty here at Red Rocks Community College. And oftentimes when I incorporate humor like this into my videos, these are the videos that get most watched in my online course. Some of the more boring ones where I'm very formal, nothing. But when they know that I'm going to be joking around, I'm just going to be doing fun things, they actually engage with me. They watch the videos more. And again, I see that with other instructors and other faculty here at Red Rocks Community College, is that humor is a really good way to engage with my class. But keep on moving on and give you another example.
Yeah, for me, one of the things I like about teaching online, of course, is that you can be anywhere. You don't have to be, at home or in your office. And I like to record things on location when I can. Sometimes it's a baseball game, it's a concert, things like that. My parents live in Florida, and so I was visiting them one time, and I made this video, and we can only show show just a short. Hi, I'm coming to you from Satellite Beach, Florida, where I'm visiting my parents. I just thought I'd send you a quick check-in. First of all, I apologize for the confusion on the dates. I swear, I'm making changes from last time, but I'm using last semester as a template, so I still forget to put Thursday and Sunday's the due dates instead of Monday and Thursday or whatever I had before. So I do a lot of apologizing too. I think, as Amy pointed out, showing your flaws sometimes makes you more accessible to the students. Unfortunately, my flaws are related to my use of technology. I apologize for the sound too. You can hear it on this, but I imagine with the waves and wind in the background, it might have been difficult for over the system here.
Well, and one of the last ways we want to discuss with you how you can use video in your online course or your hybrid course is really ensuring that they're mastering the objectives of that material. And what we use here at Red Rocks Community College is UJA. And UJA allows us to do screen recordings, but we can also create video quizzes. And I have an example right here that I can show you. So this is UJA. And as as a student plays the video, you get this little mark here, the question unanswered. And so if this was an instructional video that I had, or I would give to my students covering material, they actually have to answer questions to move on in that video. And so where I can check that box and I can hit save.
In this image, we have a little bit of padding that will allow my image to be moved over.
And so how I'm using video is instructional material now, and I can actually associate quizzes with that. with UJA, and I'm not doing a promo for UJA, use whatever you like, but when they answer that question, that actually goes right into the grade book. And so I know they're actually viewing my videos and mastering that content. Of course, you can easily do this in your LMS, whether it's Blackboard or Canvas or D2L. You can create your video, and then after the video is done, you can have a quiz within that module that covers the video to ensure that they're watching it. The great thing with UJA is that it's all incorporated into one, and you'll notice within here, what I do like about it is it's side by side, it's captioned right here on the left-hand side, and here's my instructional video that the students can watch. Well, the last thing that we want to talk about a little bit with you is how do you develop a plan, or how can you develop a plan for integrating video into your online or hybrid course?
And so we prepared some guiding questions. Sorry, we had a cue thing here. We prepared some guiding questions that might help you think about how you could do it. And the first question we would ask is, how do you connect with your students on the first day of a face-to-face class? So in a traditional class, you come in the first day, maybe there's some familiar faces, a lot of strangers. How do you set up that community on the first day?
Right, and maybe even also, right, like I think many of us maybe do icebreakers on the first day. So how do you translate that? Perhaps it is having students make little videos of things they like to do, because often I know in some icebreakers, we're asking students to share something about their favorite activities. Mike and I both think our dogs are the best things in the world. So maybe we have people post dog pictures.
Yeah.
Well, and what we're wondering is our audience, how do you connect with your students on the first day? How do you use video? Feel free to throw it in the chat. I don't know if people are able to open up their microphone, but I'd love to hear from our audience about how they connect. Well, this is a quiet group here.
I was going to fake a voice and say, well, John, I love the way you put dogs up. That's a great way to get students to know each other. But what if they don't have dogs?
Cats.
Cats, yes. Hamsters.
Oh, great.
Kids. Okay.
Alice, thank you. That would have been that was a very awkward pause we had there. So thank you. Even more awkward voice from our Mike Koss, but. Alice says, I make an introduction video answering the same question I've asked them to answer. I use Zoom as a screencasting tool. Wonderful. That's a great way to do it. Thanks for sharing. Ben, perfect. I send out an email to guide them to Canvas, where you have a video introduction posted to introduce myself to the course. Wonderful. That's excellent. Michelle, I have them tell me why they want to be a nurse and a little history about themselves. And Michelle, do you do that with video, or do you just have them post to a discussion? And then Vicki, do you have any thoughts about VoiceThread for video comments? And Vicki, I love VoiceThread for video comments. I think that's a nice way to use that technology. And those who have that option to use VoiceThread, maybe you have a license for your entire campus. VoiceThread is a neat way to do that.
So while people are still thinking about this, maybe another thing we were wondering that maybe we could address or have you address, what are challenges, maybe for some of you, you haven't incorporated a lot of video in your online class. So what are some of the challenges that you anticipate regarding that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, how do you notify your students of new videos being available? There's a couple ways I do it in Desire to Learn. I direct them to the news page, and I usually, on a weekly basis, is when I post the videos. So they know to go to the news page, say on Sunday, and the videos will be up. Or if they're answering a question, I'll just post the link on that question. Another way to do it, if there's an unusual video, you might want to just send an email out to the students and have a link to the video in the email. I mean, that's another way of doing it.
Right, and I do something similar also with analytics in Desire to Learn. I can see if people have watched the video, and then I can send a very pathetic message to the class about how I feel forgotten and I really need fans, and could they please watch my videos?
And then Ramona also posted something really great. She said, you know, she also has them post a discussion thread of their postings, and then also invite them voluntarily to share their learning style. I think that's great to ask students about their learning preference in the class. And, you know, Ramona, I'm assuming what you do with that is that you can actually accommodate, you know, a variety of learning styles and maybe actually change how you present material, or how you create your videos, or how you send out those news announcements. And then yeah, that's great. So Ramona's saying correct. But again, I love that idea of, you know, really engaging your students, creating that community using video, and then not only making it instructional by saying, well, hey, what is your preference for learning in my class? It's a great way to customize your learning presence in that class.
See if they have any questions.
Yeah, and then I think Alice is commenting to everyone, for one of my schools, it will not be a problem, but other schools will be the upload of the video. I find students are hesitant to click the link. And so that's kind of one of your concerns, is that the students are hesitant to click on that link to watch the video, Alice? And while you're thinking about answering that, we can move on a little bit.
Yeah, and I use YouTube, which is really easy to upload to, and students are used to using YouTube. And you can also embed links so that they don't have to click on a link to go someplace else. They can just click the link within the course.
Yeah, and I like that. And Alice says embedding the video. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You know, embedding the video, meaning that rather than clicking on a link and going into YouTube, which has a bunch of advertisements, being able just to have the video right in your web browser and click on it and have that video play within the web browser, that eliminates a lot of the clicking, the fear of clicking on the link. That's a perfect example.
And if you have any specific questions for us, please pop them in the chat.
Yeah, I think there's a slide, isn't there? Hello?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Maybe take it to the next slide.
Well, let's see if they got questions.
Yeah, any questions at all? We've got a little bonus slide, if we had some time, that we're going to talk about how we're using VR and AR in our online and face-to-face classrooms. But does anybody have any questions thus far? Comments?
Do you want to be pathetic and say how lonely you are, Amy, or are we?
No, I don't feel lonely right now.
Not with us, right?
Anybody want to share their best practices with video? I always like to hear, you know, members of our audience have really great tips. Anybody have a best practice that they use within their online class or hybrid course when using video? Ramona, Michelle, Vicki, Ben, any tips that you may have? Alice? All right, well, if you do have any of those tips or those best practices, throw it in. We can come back around to it, but I don't want to have too much silence in here. So we have a little bonus slide in here in the last few minutes that we have. Oh, Alice responded. Keep dates and timelines out of videos. That way you can use them multiple semesters. Alice, that's an excellent tip right there. All right. So one of the things that we're using here at Red Rocks Community College is virtual reality and augmented reality, not only in our face-to-face courses, but our online courses as well. And within there, these are just a couple sample videos, but what we're doing is something exactly like this. So this is a great example of what one of our ECE faculty are doing. And so she is actually has a 360 camera, and she is recording the different childcare centers, not only here on campus, but out in the field. And she's creating a 3D video in which the students can watch. If they have a headset, we make that optional. They can also pick up a headset from our office.
The program in this room should support social play and collaborative experiences. As part of the kindy experience, your child will develop self-help and problem-solving skills. This will help them become more independent in preparation for the transition to school. There should be space for children to be active, messy, noisy, withdraw to a quiet area, be involved in small and large group experiences.
Well, and the goal of this video is really to make it immersive for the student and to learn how a child care center is set up, the interactions that occur, and how to place certain groups of toys or create different areas within that classroom. And then this is just one way we're using 360 video for not only our face-to-face courses, but our online courses as well. For some of our face-to-face courses, we're using virtual reality, not as a video like this, but we're using programs where students can do a virtual dissection lab. So we have a virtual cadaver lab. Or we have what we're actually purchasing right now for our hybrid students. We have a fire sciences program here at Red Rocks Community College. We have a fire sciences program that's using a virtual reality software, which puts those students in a burning building. And so we're using virtual reality in a number of different ways across our curriculum, from online to face-to-face courses. And again, that's just one example of how we're integrating video for an instructional learning tool in D2L, and also for face-to-face courses. And so we do have a few more comments. I think we got about 2 minutes left, but I do want to follow up. Ramona had mentioned I embed Khan Academy and TED Talks videos within my lecture. You know, Ramona, I love Khan Academy and TED Talks. So if you're an instructor, a faculty member, and you haven't checked those out, those are really great tools. Alice has mentioned, I want a 360 camera. Can you recommend one? Right now, we're using a Rilo camera. And so we found that the Rilo camera is very easy to use. You can even upload, you have an app on your iPhone or your iPad. You can easily use that to edit and modify the video to create a 360 video, but it's a Rilo camera, R-Y-L-O.
Right, and as John mentioned with, I forget who posted, I can't see the chat from here, but I know we showed a lot of videos that we created, but there's so much video out there that you don't need to create your own video. I teach a world mythology class, and I'm just not as smart and as clever as the guy who does Crash Course Mythology. And I incorporate a lot of his videos in my class. And I like his temperaments, kind of like mine, except he's much smarter.
Well, again, in just the last minute that we have is what Amy's talking about is there are so many resources, and Ramona touched on it as well, Khan Academy, but I created a list of resources of the different types of videos and information. Feel free to use this as you want. No attribute required for me. Grab it, use it. I'm gonna pop this in one more time into the chat just so you have that. But feel free to use that as you would like. Yeah, and I don't think our emails are at the bottom, but and then Ramona has a mention. Merlot is a great place, but let me just drop that into the chat one more time before we get out of here, because I think we're out of time. But this is the link to the completely free video databases. Again, use this as you see fit. It is yours to keep. And I bet you Bob needs this room here pretty soon. And I think we're done with our presentation, Bob.
Well, we're doing okay. If you need to respond to another question or so, we've got a minute or two to play with.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, does anybody have any further questions or comments, best practices that they use?
You know, I'll throw one thing out really quickly too. I just started that this semester. As a dean, I like to go to classes and just talk to students, especially new students, and encourage them. And in our early childhood education program, a lot of the students are online students, and so I've recorded a video doing the same thing, just saying, hey, I'm the dean. Thank you for taking this course. I value what you're doing. Here's some resources, and basically I care is the message that I try to send out. And so we're piloting this semester, and hopefully it'll help some students keep with their programs.
And I know that what was shared earlier was also how you can use it instructionally or with just-in-time teaching. And one of the ways I've used it too is when I've evaluated an online instructor and I see maybe a gap in something in the course, I can make a quick video rather than saying, hey, you don't have clear modules laying out things. I might make a video showing what clear modules laying out content looks like and give it to the instructor. And I've had the instructor say, thank you so much. That helps me see exactly what you're talking about.
And Alice had a question of, and maybe Amy, you can touch on this on some of your concerns, but it's a concern at our institution regarding intellectual property. The college would like all videos to be housed where they are accessible in case the faculty leaves or is out for duration. Any recommendations? And I guess, Alice, what are your concerns with that? Is it specifically with owning the video, or you're uncomfortable with your institution having access to that video? You would rather have it be your own? And I guess why Alice is responding, maybe I'll touch a little bit on there. We meant to add a slide on here on accessibility and ensuring that our videos are captioned. And so we do encourage, we have a campus-wide accessibility plan that actually asks all videos to be captioned in our online courses, in our face-to-face courses. And so we do heavily recommend to our instructors, not only for universal design for learning, but really to ensure that, if the student would prefer to have captions on, even if maybe they're an ESL or English as a second language, they can turn those captions on. But we also have quite a few deaf or hard of hearing, or students who identify as profoundly deaf or hard of hearing. So we do encourage that captioning. And again, that's part of our infrastructure here at Red Rocks Community College. And so Alice did respond. It's a concern at our institution regarding intellectual property. The college would like to have, okay, we're out of time. Thank you, Bob. But what I'm going to do is, Bob, you have all our contact information. I'm assuming it's on our presentation as well. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. We're more than happy to chat with you. We're out of time. Anyhow, thank you for joining us. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you. You obviously spurred a lot of thinking about it, and much appreciated. And thanks for putting the email in the chat. You guys can take the next hour off, and we'll be back again at 1 p.m. Central Time. So thank you, and thanks to John and Mike and Amy.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks. Enjoy your lunch.